Good afternoon. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to talk a little bit about GM just to give you a feel for our scope and the size of the company, and then talk about leveraging consumerization inside the enterprise or inside the government. We've taken an approach, I've pushed approach, I'll tell some stories, that this isn't something we want to fight, it's inevitable. We might as well leverage it, use it, and get on with it. So we'll give you some examples of that here. Just a little bit about GM. We're 200,000 people. We build trucks and cars in 30 countries, and we sell trucks and cars in 140 countries. GM's OnStar subsidiary is the industry leader in vehicle safety, security, and information needs. And we'll talk a little bit about that because it has a significant IT twist to it. And really, it's an IT company. If you peeled OnStar off at General Motors, it would be pure IT, basically. GM, 70% of our sales are outside the United States. That usually surprises people. And I spent 3 years, a little over 3 years in China. And I was there when we sold 1 million vehicles in 1 year. And I was there when we sold 2 million vehicles in a year. So the growth in China in automotive is significant. And you can see the sales jumped 28% last year alone, and we sold over 2 million vehicles in China. Our global scale, I talked about building cars in 30 different countries, but we've got nearly 200 plants around the world. We move 82,000 tons of material a day with 8,600 inbound shipments to the plants. Our product development footprint, and really these are the two big things we do. We build and design cars. And from a product development perspective, we have 21 different engineering, design, and R&D centers scattered around the world, leveraging expertise where we can find it, and sharing data across those 21 engineering and design centers. The Volt, and I put this in here, I put 2 cars in here. This one because it really is a computer on wheels. This thing's got millions of lines of code in it. A writer, when he came and saw the Volt being built and drove one, wrote that, and understood the technology behind the Volt. It's a car that goes 40 miles on an electric charge, then has a onboard generator on the vehicle that charges the battery. So it never really runs off the powertrain, it always is running off the batteries. But the interesting part, the gentleman wrote, and I'll paraphrase, he says, a bunch of engineers with bad wristwatches in Detroit just out-engineered the world. We'll take that as a compliment. The Sonic, put it in here for one reason. It's the only subcompact car built in America. We just started building it. We've built, in fact, I was just at the plant last week. We've shipped about 12,000 of these vehicles, and it's a 40 plus mile per gallon vehicle. So yeah, it's building subcompacts in this country and making money is a challenge. So OnStar, I talked about it, but I think a lot of people have seen the cute little commercials where the guy starts his car from the parking lot or from the airplane, or the wife starts the car. But OnStar, grew up about safety, and we still have we've approached about 3,000 airbag deployments now, or we call them automatic responses per month. So 3,000 times a month, somebody's airbag goes off, and we send emergency crews to the scene. We've accumulated almost 1 million. Somebody pushed the red button on the mirror. Emergency kind of things. One of the things about our OnStar system that's fascinating is we mapped out all the 911 regions. So when you push the button, we know where you are, your lat and longe. We know who the police jurisdiction is, the fire, ambulance, etc. One time I was at a track meet, in a high school track meet, and someone had gotten hurt, actually was having an epileptic seizure, and called 911 on my cell phone, and where are you? And I'm at this track meet, I'm at this school. Well, what's the ambulance or what's the fire department? No idea. So it finally occurred to me, just go push the mirror. And you know, you don't have to know where you're at. They got you, and help comes. So it's something we've actually worked with the government a lot on relative to FEMA and Katrina coming into Louisiana, because we have a lot of data from all these vehicles, obviously. My Volt, people are competitive. They said, you know, the guy talking about the health monitoring thing, people are competitive. You know, we put a Volt website up, and people love to not buy gas and see how far they can drive these things. You know, I've sold one to a gentleman that works at Cisco, and he hasn't bought gas for 8 months. He has never bought gas. He's never put a drop of gas. He was mad because the dealer didn't fill the car up. But you know, these things go 40 miles with a charge, and the fact of the matter is, I think like 85, 86% of the U.S. population drives less than that per day. So this is a very, you know, it's really interesting to watch the competitiveness of people come out as they drive these vehicles. And like I said, the Volt really is a computer on wheels. And OnStar, you know, we have about 6.5 million subscribers, so 6.5 million nodes on the network sending data about speed, latitude, longitude, and those kind of pieces of information. So what are we going to do? You know, so that sort of frames up GM and what I live with daily. But what are we going to do to leverage this consumerization of IT? And you know, I have this vision that we want to do whatever, whenever, wherever. And we've got devices like iPhones and BlackBerries that alert me. We've got tablets that, I'll say, show me. I think there's very few people would create a PowerPoint presentation on an iPad. And then they have these things that I say empower me, but devices we create information on. And in GM today, we've allowed our employees to bring their personal smartphones to work, and because a lot of people, when you say, well, here's your company, I don't want a company cell phone, I just want to use mine. Okay, so you can opt in. We've had over 6,000 people now just opt in and use their own personal cell phone for, you know, at work. And you know, this little cartoon I show my staff, and you know, we're beating up, you know, employees at GM, taking their devices from them and searching them at the door. And you might be able to do that in some government agencies, but we can't at GM. And this is exactly what we don't want to do, is what I always tell folks. People's expectations is pretty simple: my PC, my devices, and my apps. I think a couple of the speakers before me said it. If we can enable people when they come to work to use what they do in their personal life, we've got something. And that's what we're trying to do right now. I'll talk about it. So device freedom, device factors, capabilities, and connectivity are exploding all over the place. And you know, to try to say, well, you can use this one, that one, and this one, it's just an endless battle. You know, we just got to get to where you can use HTML, and we'd like you to have encryption on your hard drive or your device, or have it be so that no data gets to it, and then we don't really care what device, as long as it has these characteristics. And that's where we're going. And you know, one of the biggest nodes on the network that we look at a lot is the car. Simple security. This idea of on-managed devices, if we load GM data or corporate data onto your device, you basically electronically sign a waiver that says if it's stolen or you leave the company, we wipe the device, even though it's your device. The ideal method is that we don't allow our data to get to your device. You just come to a website, get what you need. We share data with you. We wipe, we erase your cache when you log off, and we're done. And we've got that mechanism too. One of my friends who's a CIO for a big IT company, this happened to him, and his computer got stolen. What would you do if this happened to you? If it happened to me, you know, my device is encrypted, no big deal. Mobility is a global phenomenon. Like I said, I lived in Asia for 3 years. I traveled all over Asia, based in Shanghai, and Asia's rate of mobility is blown by because they have no landlines. Mobility And wireless is the only way they're getting there. When I drive in China and Shanghai, I can go through any tunnel. I never lose my phone call. I can attend a board meeting driving around in Shanghai and not drop a call. In Detroit, I drive up 75 and I drop calls. The mobile platform provides another means to deliver business apps. So a lot of little things we did, simple things. One of the biggest apps we have that on the mobile app, of course, is to look up somebody's phone number and give their picture or their email, because there's a lot of Mike Wilson's kind of things in General Motors. So which one is it? And then a neat little twist to it that you can get on the web for the public world is let someone type in a number. They'll tell you, is this a GM phone number? So is it one of our offices, or is it a mobile phone that we pay the bill for? And it'll tell you who has it if it is. Slick app gets a lot of positive press. My Chevy apps on the phone, and this is everything from, what's the idiot lights on the dash mean, and my phone will tell me, to help me schedule a service appointment, et cetera. And service expectations, and it was interesting to see the Geek Squad here. What made me push this hard at GM? My daughter goes to Michigan State. So it's a bummer since I'm a Buckeye, but and they beat us. So her Mac breaks, and she says, I'm going to go make an appointment on the web. And so we drive 1 hour there to the Apple Genius Bar. We spend about an hour there with the person fixing it, and they fix her Mac, but they teach her 3 or 4 things she didn't know and show her a couple more things that she ought to do with her Mac and maybe some things she could buy. She leaves fixed, and we're on the way home, an hour home, and she said, wow, that was great. And I'm like, whoa, if I can get people to bring their broken computer to a place, do all the work, have an experience, and then go back to their office and say, that was great, and spend 3 hours of their day on a weekend, I got to copy this. So what we did at GM, or what I pushed hard, was we call them IT service centers. They're basically a Apple Genius Bar knockoff. Put really smart PC people there. They have to smile, because nobody's been to an Apple store and had a bad experience, right? You have to smile if you want to work in this group, and you always do whatever is required to make them leave with it fixed. And you never ask for a help desk number. You don't ask for your ticket number. You don't ask. You just fix it. Whatever they need, give it to them. That's the rule. And this has grown to 21 of these now across the world for GM. It's a very simple complex. The help desk, service desk calls are down. Most people would rather take their portable, walk down, see somebody, schedule an appointment. If you schedule an appointment, we guarantee you'll see a technician, just like the Genius Bar, just like you're used to in your private life. If you walk in, you might get someone, or you might have to wait. It's got to be one of the top 5 things I've done in 2 years as a CIO that's got the most positive press from the most employees, including people on the executive council. Just copying this consumerization IT thing. Guest network. So when I took over as the CIO, lots of places didn't have wireless. And I used to go to the little pub uptown in the town I live in and have a beer, and they have wireless. And how could the pub uptown get wireless, and we at GM couldn't have wireless? So I pushed really hard to get this guest wire, and the employees and my IT people are, security, going to have to do a tunnel, we've got to separate these things, this is never going to work. And I finally, one day I remember out of frustration, said, listen, if I got to get the waitress up at the tap to come and put the wireless in at GM, I will. Because it works great there. And so they put it in, and then we had a naming convention problem, and that they made it so cryptic you couldn't figure out what it was, because I thought it should just say like free GM Wi-Fi or something meaningful. But This isn't about guest access. This is about our employees. They can bring their iPads now. They can bring their iPods. They can use them to be productive. They can use them at lunch. They can live their lives wherever they're at. Otherwise, we almost quarantined them when they came to work. It's a big deal. Very little money. Windows 7. We deployed Windows 7, and we may be Microsoft's case of how fast we went to Windows 7. I told Tony Scott, who used to work at GM, who's the CIO there, that the code works really well. And he did a lot of the testing by forcing it back into the Microsoft organization. Windows 7's great. We deployed 76,000 plus seats, and we're done, right? We got a few stragglers, but they're measured in less than 100 kind of things on plant floors, et cetera. But this is a major effort. We need to get to where when we go to Windows 8, there's nothing on the desktop, and you just bring your machine in. You hand me your Windows 7 machine, I hand you your Windows 8 machine or your Mac machine. You get the new operating system, and we're done. All this stuff on the machine's got to go, and that's where we're going. We're going to where you go to the web, you get everything. Once you have it on the web, you won't go back. Once you use documents in the cloud, you're not going back to putting it on your desktop or loading heavy apps on your desk. People are just expecting more. Let's get by this one. Unified communications, and we've got this deployed through the organization, and it's this idea that your phone, your web, your email, everything's linked together. It's a lot of traction around team sites and working in teams. And these ideas of throw a blog up or throw an place where you can generate ideas for 2 days. It's amazing what you can generate, especially when you put time limits on things. If you say we're going to put a structural cost website up, nobody gets excited. If you say we're going to put one up for 48 hours and respond to everything that comes in, people participate. Otherwise, we'll wait till Wednesday to do it. Profiles enable professional. This whole idea that we can look around and find people that we need. I use the words, we got to leverage our genius. At GM, we're only 1,300 people in IT all over the planet. I say we got some of the best and brightest. You just got to find them. This is the way we find people in GM and the skill sets they have. Collaboration and WebEx specifically. We were out at Cisco just last week talking with the folks, and the ability that this does for you, the idea that you can watch a WebEx on your BlackBerry. Wow. And at first you say, well, I got to attend a meeting on a BlackBerry. You got to be kidding me. No. How about I take that device and I shine it at a problem at a dealer, and it goes back to the engineering center, and he tells them how to fix it. Now it's not a meeting. Now it's solving a problem. Apps, we put gadgets up, one of the biggest gadgets. We have a sort of a Apple App Store kind of thing inside GM, and one of the biggest ones that gets used and most downloaded, believe it or not, is when are the holidays in what countries? So if you want to schedule a meeting, you're not scheduling on top of somebody's holiday in that country. Create a new what are the top things we're trying to do? Create a new culture, collaboration, and sharing. Simplify our security. This idea that get the desktop so that it isn't an issue. Push it out on the other side of the firewall. Improve employee morale, obviously attracting the best talent. Accelerates innovation. Drive reuse and best practices. Protect us from this Y2 gray thing. IT brand is relevance, and the GM brand must lead to productivity, obviously, and IT is all about the user experience. Thank you very much.